So it's mostly, I'm not sure if I can say equivalent, but it's something that you want to add to your signature, just like you would want to say you're a TEDx speaker. So in the same way, you really get to increase your authority when you say you're a USA Today, Wall Street Journal bestselling author and TEDx speaker. It's wonderful. And I've noticed during the introductions of the coaches, I think everybody or almost everybody mentioned that they authored books. You introduce yourselves as author and coach, or best-selling author and coach, or multi-best-selling. So it's so powerful. I think that's the reason to do it.
So now follow up to that, because I've seen this myself. Getting on, so let's talk those lists in particular, but getting on a podcast, let's say, getting talks at events, or getting paid more at an event because of your authority. What I've noticed with those lists, maybe a little more so than Amazon, if we're being fair, because more people are Amazon bestselling authors. So what I've noticed on those two lists in particular, USA Today and Wall Street, and of course, New York Times would be next level, but that's a whole different conversation. But what I would say is those two lists, I've noticed that you can charge a bit more. You get looked at differently when they hear those next to your name. They open up more doors. You get booked on a podcast easier because they like being able to say, up next, we have a Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. I mean, I'll ask you on that. Is that all stuff that you guys see on a regular basis by helping 200 and some people? Is that it does just bring you
Right. So we have an amazing video on our homepage at leaderspress.com of one of our author clients. Her name is Tomika. We recorded this video in Miami at a book award ceremony because her book, Business Success Secrets, got also an award. And she says, and she's super animated, you see the enthusiasm. She says, right now, I'm a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author, and I don't even do a talk for less than $25,000. So this was incredible, what she was saying there. And we've regularly see people who have not been charging for speaking gigs starting to charge, people who have been charging, increasing their fees and still getting the same number of engagements. So I think for you who are speakers here or aspire to be speakers, it's a wonderful tool in your toolkit.
Amazing. Well, I want to ask you, as I said, about the library side of things that you guys work on as well. But I'll just tell you, somebody asked me the other day how I actually heard about Steve Harrison. And if I remember correctly, I think back in the day, you did some webinars with Steve, and it was based on you having sold 80,000 copies of your book. I remember that in particular. And so my question is, one of the things we hear a lot about is people saying, oh, you made bestseller list. Oh, is this the book? Yeah, how I sold 80,000 books. And one of the things that we struggle with is a lot of people get the bestseller list and then forget they even have a book. I see that all the time. So what's your advice to people, having a press, that you guys run, being partnered with things like Simon & Schuster, which is really rare. What do you guys recommend as far as sustaining the book sales versus just making a list?
Doing things that you do. So continuing the promotion by showing up on important podcasts that your audience listens to. And then at the end, you get this question. So how can people learn more about you? And you would say, well, go to my Amazon page and get my book, or go to my website. You can read more in my book. I also like to say, and since you're listeners, because you go on a podcast, also I have an audiobook for you, right? Because you like to consume audio. So just continue. It's not really a question of what can my book do for me? I think first the question is, what can I do for the book? And when you do things for the book, then the book continues bringing you gifts. So talk about it. And, it's not even necessary to have a book published. Although I think it is, I'm a publisher, so this is really, I'm not benefiting from saying this, but I did have a call yesterday with a potential author client who had a book that wasn't yet published, and he was already selling it, pre-selling it on one-on-one calls. So he was in sales himself, and the fact that the book was not even on Amazon made me wanted more. So I said, well, what do I do to get this? And he said, well, he said, you're a first class act. I'm going to send it to you. I'm like, yes, yes. But it's not even all that can happen on Amazon. John spoke about, Kindle strategies. So there are all these things you can do. You can position the book, you can do the keywords, you can do the categories, you can make sure, it's all optimized. So the book pops up when somebody is looking for your expertise. But even just mentioning it, you tell one person, the other person tells. What you did today, Corey, you said, oh, I'm gonna do this thing with Brian Proctor. By the way, he has the book out, right? So what did I do? I go to Amazon and download the audiobook. So now it's on my phone. So today I'm going to start listening to it because you mentioned the book. You didn't mention something else that's might happen in next year or something that's difficult to get my hands on. Yeah, it's a book. It's interesting to me. Boom. It just really takes one click, a couple seconds. So that really is the power of it. I'm going to start reading it. I like it. I'm going to tell somebody else. So you can do all these amazing things, have these, being featured, have all those logos on your website. You can also just tell people, hey, this is out. And I think you might find it helpful.
Amazing. Well, I have one more question for you, Alinka, but I will say yesterday we had Neil Donald Walsh, author of Conversations with God. He sold a few books. He said that they've kept track of 15 million, but he thinks probably 40 million people have read the books. So again, sold a few books. And what he said, to your point about word of mouth, is he said the one tip I took away, because a lot of his stuff was about how the book came to life and his journey. But he said, what I figured out later is that the reason it did so well is we wrote a hand-to-hand book. And I'd never heard that term before, but what he said is somebody buys it and then they read it and then they hand it to somebody else. Or the other way you could look at that is they buy a second copy and hand it to somebody else. And a friend of mine, James Redfield, who I know you know who he is, Alinka, with Celestine Prophecy, pretty safe to say 40 million copies sold, it was a hand-to-hand book. And James said that's what he saw, is that it went like 5,000 sold, 10,000 sold, 15,000 sold. Every week it was going bigger. And he said it's because more people had read it. And then also those more people said to more people, you need to read this book. And so I love what you just said there, because the idea of letting people know you have a book, that's how you start that word of mouth buzz. So my last question for you, before I ask how we can learn more, is what do you recommend to people as kind of the one thing? We heard Kitty talk about the one thing. There's a great book called The One Thing. What do you recommend is to people, that authors, that is the one thing they need to make sure they're doing, whether they're working with you or not yet, but what is the one thing you think you see authors do that helps them become successful versus maybe what other authors don't do and struggle with?
Well, it's really the first thing we do when we work with authors, and I recommend you do that if you're planning on having a book or you already have a book. That's the positioning. So you do the bookstore exercise, okay? Go into the bookstore, find the bookshelf that your book should be on, okay? Go there. You want there to be a bookshelf because you want there to be an audience for your book. You go to that bookshelf, you look at those books, and you say, okay, my book belongs with these books. And then you say, okay, so now, how does my book stand out? What do I say to the reader that will convince them to get my book as opposed to the other ones, or my book first, or my book as well? So that's their unique selling proposition. And you can do that exercise on Amazon as well. So you need to fit in and stand out. That's the first thing. That's positioning. And if doing this exercise, you find that there's no bookshelf, or you find that what you're saying is exactly the same thing the other books are saying, then I would rethink your content. And in fact, when I started working with people before Leaders Press, when I was still doing one-on-one custom stuff, that was the first thing we looked at, because people would say, can you market my book? And I would look at it and say, well, possibly, but it would be like carrying water in a bucket full of holes. Because, okay, let's say we're going to get the word out and we have all this traffic to your website or to your Amazon page. But then when people come to it, they're like, but how is this unique, right? So it doesn't make sense. So first you need to be unique. First you need to fit in and be unique. And then it makes sense to invest in all the marketing.
Wow, I love it. I'll call that a mic drop moment as well. And Alinka, always a pleasure. I think you've been involved in 3 or maybe 4, as we had members of the team involved in one of them. So 3 or maybe 4 of our boot camps. So thank you, my friend. You always add so much value, and I love the work that you're doing. And then the last part, of course, is how can people connect with you? Like, would you send them to the main website, or where would you send people?
Thank you. I love coming here. It's so inspiring. And I also love the topics before the book. So thank you for this. Yeah, so my website is leaderspress.com. And if you go there, if you don't have a book, you can take a short quiz that will tell you what type of book would be valuable for you to write, because there are different types. And also, you can get a book, which is called Outsource Your Book. I have it here. So you can get this book in an ebook format, or because you like to listen, I also have an audiobook that you can download when you get the ebook. And then you can find out more about how you can get your book done without really writing too much.
Amazing. So Alinka, again, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, my friend. I'll let you run for now, but we'll call it a to be continued.
Thank you.
Awesome. My absolute pleasure. And I know last but not least, we have Kira Brinton with us, but I'm going to say just one last thing. I didn't mention the library side with Alinka that I was trying to make sure I mentioned. So I know Laura put the link in the comments so you can check out the work that they do. Alinka has a curated library list of librarians who buy books and libraries who buy books. So we're checking out that if you want to get your books in more hands. So just wanted to add that in. So Kira, excited to have you. And again, on the book side, we had 3 different people on books, but I think all 3 people kind of, I think there's complementary. And also, if you're having 3 people on books, it sells the power of books. But at the same time, I think all 3 of you focus on it a little bit differently. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, that you and I have chatted about, is AI and, you know, what's changing with books. And I know it's really for you, and, you know, it's not saying either's right or wrong, but for you, I know a big focus is you actually have kind of a mandate that you don't want to work on books that were written by AI. So can you, first of all, jump in and start there? Because I think that's unique in a world where more people are trying to put out. Somebody just said the other day, I saw Amazon locks you down that you can only put out, I think it was like 25 books a day written by AI. And I'm like, what? Like, why should that even be a question? 25 books a day. But anyway, so that's the world we're going into. So what are your thoughts around AI, and why are you trying to stand firm the opposite way?
Thank you. And everyone who has spoken today, beautiful, amazing work. As always, it's an honor to be here. My name is Kira Brinton. I am the founder of Joan of Arc Publishing. I am a book medium. That means I help people hear their most important work, their magnum opus, the thing they were here to do. And that is why every book that I publish has a stamp on the back that says authentic author, no AI. And it is not because I don't love AI, because I do. I do love AI. If you're not using AI, my friends, you will get lost in business. This is like the new internet wave. AI is here to help us be great leaders by having more work done quicker. But I do not believe AI should write our books, and I will tell you why.
Oh, I think we lost you for a sec here, Kira. I
don't know how that happened, but here we are.
Okay.
If dark ages, we had the dark ages in our humanity. If what took us out of the dark ages was the Renaissance, which was inspired art, what happens to humanity when inspired art ceases? And as people turn to AI to write their books, we literally are giving over one of our most powerful, sacred roles, which is to be inspired creators. And so that is why every book that we publish has this stamp. Every book I help people write, as we are not just a publishing house. I will not publish boring shit. I will not publish books that are going to fill your funnel. I will not publish a book so you can say you're an author. I only publish books that are your most important message, because we are here to change the whole fucking world. And that is where I'm at. It's like this world needs to be shifted, transformed, and it is only by inspired leaders. And it gets me emotional, because if AI comes in, because it's so damn easy, well, guess what happens? The work that we are here to do collapses because we are too busy to write the most important work. And I'm a hell no for that. So I am here to help people wake up. I am here to help people write their most important work. And I am here to help open up creation so that we can lead humanity into a new timeline instead of a collapsed timeline.
Wow. So another mic drop. And Kira, I want to say, I think I told you when we were talking recently about the book I'm working on right now. And so what you're talking about really speaks to me because this book, so I've written this book here that I showed earlier, I'll call it a self-help or whatever you want to call it, a how-to book, but it was written from my heart. Like it was 5 years in the making. It was 3 years self-published. It was been 4 years with Morgan James. And I still show it all the time. And so I really put my heart and soul into the book. The newest book that I'm working on is a parable. It's a totally different game altogether, a la The Alchemist, Og Mandino's work. And I'm really passionate about what you're talking about because I'm scared that type of book isn't going to exist soon. And here's what's really sad is I'm fast tracking self-publishing it because I know if I go with a major publisher, which I think it belongs with, it could take 4 years. And I'm worried it's a 3-part series. That means the third book probably isn't there for 10 years. What the heck is going to happen to that style of book in 10 years with AI? So for me, it's sad, but I'm trying to fast track it because I don't want the book to get lost because of what's changing. And I think about those alchemist books and Celestine prophecies. They probably wouldn't exist in a world of only AI books. So anyway, so I'm there with you, my friend. 100%.
Yeah. And I saw someone say AI books should exist. Sure. But not when you're in the realm of changing the world. So I am not saying you shouldn't have AI books. I use AI all the damn long day. You guys, AI is here to support us, but it cannot replace creative, insightful leadership. And that is what I'm here to fight for. So I'm writing a book called The New Dark Ages, the fight for the authentic creator, because that is what I'm here to do. I may be a publisher. You don't know why? Because all sacred work came through books. My work is here on this earth to keep sacred work alive. You look at any sacred work, it was always through writing. The Quran, the Bible, you name it. You guys, if you want to really move mountains, you need to step into the realm of what is your work to share and bring it through. Not only will it go change thousands, hopefully millions of lives, but it will change you. Because when you bring through that work, it changes you at a cellular level. Those are the books that we're here to write. And AI can never do that.
Wow. Well, I'm curious your thoughts then. And somebody asked me to show my book again. I guess they want to see the name or something. So just so you can see it there. I want to ask your thoughts because there's AI and then there's somebody who is not a writer, but they have a powerful story and they might, record it on here and translate it. They might get a ghostwriter. Would you still have I'm just curious, but would you still have a stamp for authentic author if they did it that way, where it's like their words, they did everything, but they're not a writer?
I would, 100%. And I am a book medium, which means I am a medium, but I don't actually I don't really enjoy being a medium. I'm not a big fan of talking to the dead all day. So instead, I use my gifts and I help people hear their books. So I can hear them, I can see them, and I help people. So I actually go on trips for 5 days with an author and we write their book in 5 days. I'm writing their book with them, but I'm in it with them. I'm literally like in their body. We're writing this book. That is very authentic. If you have a ghostwriter who is going to sit with you and your message, it is you. It's you. But when you throw your information into AI and say, hey, write me a book, well, we've literally taken the humanity out. And if you guys can imagine, most of you are healers and light workers and all of these things, and you know that energy is everything. So if I always tell my authors, don't you dare write your book if you are not the match energetically to the result you want your reader to have. So if you're going to your book to write, oh, I got to write my book right now. No, you don't. Don't you dare write the book right then, because the vibrational frequency that you're in when you're bringing those words through is the match to what those readers will receive. So if you're going to write your book, you better go in at the highest vibrational frequency because it moves through the letters. And that's actually what I call codes, which is why the books that I help people write are like codes, and they change people because it's your vibrational frequency. This is not about outlining a book. This is not about having the best chapters. This is about how do we move our energy into the pages of a book. And you can do that with a ghostwriter as long as you're working closely with them. But it is you that we need.
Amazing. So we only have a minute left, and I want to make sure we tell people how they can find you. And all the great work you're doing and how they can follow you. And I saw somebody ask, like, how do I reach her? How do I connect with her? So is there a website? Is there a hub? Where would you send people?
Okay, so you guys can go to JOA Publishing. That's going to take you to our publishing house. You can also go to my website, kirabrinton.com. I do separate things from just JOA as well. I lead the events, live events, where I help people awaken the creations inside of them. That means if you want to write your podcast, you want to do your courses, I do these live events where we collapse time and we wake up shit. It's magic. So that's on my Kira Brinton. But guys, fastest way is just go to my Instagram, Kira Brinton, DM me. I did a live webinar 3 days ago. I'll send you the replay. It's free. It'll help you wake up creation. It's going to help you get really focused on your most important message. And then if you want to learn about publishing with us, you can meet with my creative director. And I'd love to be able to talk to each one of you.
Wow, Kira, this has been absolutely amazing. So many mic drop moments. I'm seeing people saying mic drops in the comments. So thanks for, I think it's because of your passion for this. It comes through, it shines through. I think when somebody's passionate about something, it's infectious, and I think in a good way. And I think that comes through with you. And I'll also say, if you want to watch Kira's talk, I think her Blue Talk's coming out right away. So I saw somebody say that you blew the room away at your Blue Talk as well. So you are crushing it, my friend. So keep on doing the great work. And you're also actually a part of our new Experts Bureau as well. And we're only a couple of weeks away from starting to secure bookings for people. So I can't wait to book you out on talks as well.
Thank you. And I just want to say it's such an honor to be a Blue Talk speaker. And I want to leave this with everyone right now, is that if you've ever had a hunch in your heart, you've had a tap on your shoulder that you have a book to write, I don't want you to ever wait on it, because this book is here to wrap your world in momentum if you will lean in and say yes. There is never going to be a perfect day. You will not ever have more time. You will not ever have more knowledge that needs to go in it. It's here, it's now, and there's somebody in the world who's praying for the exact book that you're here to write.
Amen. Thank you so much, Kira. An absolute pleasure. Till next time as well, my friend. And what I will say about that part is that there's somebody waiting to hear your message and your book. I think that's such a powerful statement. I've said to people in the past, my crappy book, and I don't think it's crappy, but my crappy book, this is a kind of just a general statement, that is out in the world impacting lives, is doing more work than your brilliant book that nobody ever reads. Because there's a lot of people that sit on a brilliant book that never gets written. And I don't want to call it crappy book, my good book, but you know what I'm getting at. You get the message. Also, the other thing I'll say on the AI side, and then I know we're going to be going on a break, I believe, but there's a lady, I just saw a post on Facebook the other day, and she said, it's a sad time right now. Now, I didn't look at the authenticity of this. I didn't go down the rabbit hole, but she said, there's multiple people trying to create my voice using AI so they can write books as me, because my books were multiple bestsellers and literature, appreciated books. They're trying to basically copy her voice with AI to basically put out books similar to her books. And if that's really happening, that's a pretty sad time. So I just want to say that, that could be where we're headed. And I agree that we can't stop AI, but we can certainly decide how much we want it to, I hate to say this, but destroy our world of art. So, amen. Thank you guys so much. And Heidi, and thank you, Alinka. I saw that message. And so Heidi, I think we have a break coming up. Am I correct?
We do. Let's take 10 minutes. We'll come back at 12:10 Eastern.